Hi, I'm Jared, and I wanted to do a pack dump for my recent Colorado over-the-counter elk hunt. So here we go. Start with from the bottom to the top of my clothes, everything I brought and needed. So my boots, obviously pick your own boots out. I wear barefoot shoes and zero drop, so those are made by Belleville. Next comes the booties for sleeping. Those down booties are hugely helpful. Even if you have a very low temperature bag, your feet could still end up cold, and you don't really want to wear wet socks to bed, so you really need 2 pairs of socks. Good reason for that is too, if your shoes do get wet, you can change your socks every couple of hours, and as the pair dries out and the pair you're wearing gets wet, you can switch back and forth, and that will help dry out your boots even in a cold climate. Of course, when you do that, you need a good way to dry out your socks. Sometimes putting them in between your base layer and your coat will help evaporate a lot of the water, even though it's going into your clothing. It's better than having wet socks. Next is my merino wool layer. That is the one by Eberly Stock. I don't think it's particularly better or worse than any others. Next is my pants. So it's just these, and then these go over those. I was only in 30-degree weather, so it wasn't much colder than that the whole time. And then this is a waterproof layer. It does great in the rain. It feels like it absorbs water, but whenever I was in the rain, it didn't. And then this is a cheap down pants layer. I do need to upgrade this. The nice thing about this is it zips completely on each side, so you can put it on over your pants, over your boots without taking off any clothing, particularly for if you're spotting, if you're sitting there glassing for hours and hours at a time. It's nice to have that if you get cold, if it starts to get windy or whatever, to have an extra layer to throw on. And also in your sleeping bag, if you're out in the backcountry and it's colder than you expected, or your bag is not quite as warm as you'd hope, having that as a insurance policy is a really good idea. And then I have a leather belt that I got on Etsy, which is where I would recommend getting anything handmade out of leather. Just the mass-produced crap is not going to cut it. This goes on there. It is a Buck 192 plus, and it's essentially the one Cliff Gray recommends. As a skinning knife, you can see it still has some oil and grease on there. Unfortunately not from an elk. I didn't get one this year. Then next is merino wool base layer for the upper half, and this I would recommend. This is by Eberly Stock, and it's a really high quality piece of gear. It's got the thumb holes. The zip down is really nice. It's inside out right now, so you can't see the pocket. It's got a nice little pocket there. And it's a really good base layer, and you can also kind of wear it to town. It looks really good, just as a shirt. And then here, this is not a jacket, this is a pullover. Essentially it's an SPF hoodie, but I really like it for the camo, for the extra wind protection, extra warmth it gives. The hoodie really helps keep your ears warm and the back of your neck warm. Even though it's such a thin layer, I'd recommend one of these. Next is the down sweater. This I wore pretty much the whole time, unless it was like 50 degrees during the middle of the sunny part of the day. This one's made by Eastern Mountain Sports. I think they went out of business. But it's pretty much on par with like those bougie brands you buy from REI or whatever. So I would really highly recommend investing in an 800 down sweater. 800 fill is what it is, I believe. Kind of expensive, but this one's lasted me, God, maybe 12 or 15 years. I got it before 2010. And then is the Eberly Stock jacket here. This is the rain protection, wind protection. It breathes pretty well. It's got these armpit zips. Really high-end piece of equipment here. I'm sure all the competitive brands with Eberly Stock, the other hunting brands, probably make a comparable piece of equipment. I just haven't tried any of them yet, and probably won't, because this is a very expensive piece of gear. Really high quality. It's got the thumb holes. It's really nice. And then what you need for that, all this stuff is, because you're not going to be wearing everything all the time, is a waterproof bag to go inside of your pack. So this is one that I bought for my canoe, ended up using for this because it's not like super submersible like it claims to be. It's a cheap Amazon dry bag will work. That one's nice because it's light. This is also a cheap Amazon down hood, basically, hat for sleeping. It's also nice for glassing if you're out there glassing for hours. I do need to upgrade this and the pants. They're both very low quality Amazon garbage, but they get the job done. This is a wool hat. Actually, I think it might be a wool blend. My wife knit this for me, which is kind of cool. It's or crocheted, I think, actually. So can't buy that. And then this is just a ball cap that matches the camo pattern. Not really necessary. But then this is my backup flashlight. Best flashlight in the world. Show you here. It is lead lenser. P3, very bright, and you can focus it for when you're using it for walking or for close work on your hat. Is really nice. It's not too bright. The AAA battery lasts a long time. It's on or off, and that's what I like. You don't need all that fancy crap with the special batteries that are $13 each. This thing will do it, and it clips to your hat, so you can use it like a headlamp. Let's move on to the pack. And let me just give you a shot of this all laying out. This is my whole pack dump. So this is my pack frame. It's Everly stock again. Got the butt bucket, doesn't really work great with my bow. The pack frame's fine, it's kind of heavy. Honestly, if I were to do it again, I'd probably go with a brand that sells a lighter one. Extremely durable, but yeah, extremely comfortable too. So there's gives and takes, but then I have these wing bags. I have 4 of them, only 2 here because I only really need 2. They're actually really good for storing my glass in and my tripod and that stuff in during the off season. But they're nice if I'm just running up a hill to do some glassing. They can zip onto the frame as a day pack or whatever. You can fit some extra stuff in there, mostly just for like a day hike like that. This is my bugle. I don't have anything to say about a bugle. Gotta check somebody else out with that for that. And then this is a small bag that ships to the pack frame. I think it's a 250 liter, and then this is a 500. But anyway, this is a small one. I could go do an overnight in it, but it's more for like a day hike where I need more stuff because I'm gonna eat dinner or whatever. And then this is the full size one. This fits all my gear, clothing, food, a couple days worth of food, you know, tent, backpack, tent, sleeping bag, etc. I think that's Vapor 5000 and Vapor 250. And then those are 50 liters each. And then there's the pack. So that all kind of zips together in a weird wonky way, but it's fine. It does what it says it does. So here's my glassing setup. Let's put this back here because we're not using that right now. So here's my tripod. It's a Leupold. It's about, I think it's only 2.5 pounds. It's a really nice tripod. You know, it has all the multiple angles, but get yourself a good tripod. You don't need to get this one. What you do need to get is all ArcaSwiss compatible stuff. This makes a huge difference being able to, let me show you how ArcaSwiss works. It's essentially a clamp. So see the bottom of this base? This has ArcaSwiss built in. It also has the hole for, you know, a 1/4-20 screw, which is what they used to use. But this is really the new standard in the industry. And it's just that easy. And it's an extremely tight fit. Really nice setup. And then let's talk about the scope itself, the spotting scope. It's a UHD ultra high def vortex razor, and this is the focus, and then this is the zoom. So it's 22 to 48. Really good unit, integrated sunshade, and then I just tied these off with some cotton twine. These are the end caps. And then also it comes with this, which I have set up for binoculars. So if I'm going to be spotting with my binos, this screws right in. And then I have this bolted on right now, but I can take this off, and this is also Arca Swiss compatible. So that's nice. And I believe this was an Amazon find, but I don't think it was that cheap. It's really nice, really lightweight aluminum. And then that's just part of the thing. So this goes up pretty high. Obviously these extend out, and there's 3 different angle settings you can use them at, or in between, which is nice. And then packed down, this stuff fits into one of those Eberly stock batwing bags. And then I have this chair, which is 14 ounces. It's called BTR, which stands for Better Than Rock. They are not that good. They're good to sit in, they're comfortable, but they break. Obviously, Hill Sound. This is the second one in as many years. So I haven't really found an alternative. I'm not willing to carry a 2-pound chair. So it's 14 ounces and it breaks every once in a while and has to be kludged back together in the field, or you're spending 2 to 3 pounds on another comparable chair, and a lot more space. This thing folds up really small. It's like a little bigger than an Nalgene bottle, I guess. And then continuing on the glass, we'll go to my Bino case, which is the Eberly stock. You know what? I don't remember which model this is, but these are changeable. And so the rangefinder that I carry is the Razor HD 4000. The nice thing about that is it's extreme long range function. So if you need to hike somewhere, you're not going to be ranging an elk at 4,000 yards, but you might want to know, hey, is this hike I'm about to take a few miles or half a mile? And it helps give you some perspective in the backcountry. I like this Milwaukee headlamp. I've had a bunch of random backpacking brand ones, but this one's the best I found. It's like $25 at Home Depot. The nice thing is that it's not that rechargeable crap. If the batteries break or you drop it in the water and have to dry it out and the batteries decharge themselves, just put new batteries in, right? AAA's. Uses the same as my other flashlight for compatibility. I do have an extra battery for my rangefinder. And then my binos are also the Razor HD. They make UHD. I just didn't think that was necessary for the expense. They're like twice as much. So these are 8x42s. I went with the 8x42s for a wider field of view. I do feel like I can see more clearly with the UHDs, with the HDs, than I could with a lower brand at a higher magnification level. If that makes sense, I can resolve little tiny sticks in the forest, in dim light. The other thing is, you want the high definitions. You want to compare your binos at night. You go in the store and you look at the thing far away, and it's store lighting. Really, the difference is the ability to see things at dusk and dawn, and that's what you really need with binos. So then in here is my my release. I've been using this one for a while. I quite like it. And then here's what I've done. So this is every single size on my bow, my sight, and essentially I bought those cheap, like pocket knife style Allen keys, and then I made sure each one fit everywhere. And if you look, this one's a little shorter. That's because the setup of my bow wouldn't allow a full length one, so I ground it down a little bit. And then this is for the larger size, and this is for a really small size on my sight. And then this is something that was negotiated with the wife, but I carry a InReach Garmin Mini 2. As cool as it would be to go out there with just a map in your right hand and a knife in your teeth, you should probably bring one of these. The SOS function is really helpful. Keep in mind, if you have an iPhone newer than 2014, it does have the SOS hardware. But the nice thing about this is you can, if you pay the fee, you can text your family from satellite phones, essentially, anywhere in the world. And then down here, this is not what I use in the off season. This is the bigger one that I put on for Velcro on for hunting season. Shown here is just some of the food I might bring: sardines and crackers. I always keep a bunch of Advil and Tylenol and other medications that might be necessary in the backcountry. I also carry a couple Cliff Bars. These shot blocks are great. It's like 2 cups of coffee in here. And then I carry this as like a little plate when I'm cooking, if I'm cooking in the backcountry, and then this collapsible bowl. Those go in here because they're not 100% necessary. It's a nice to have, not a need to have. But a plate and a bowl is nice to have. And then this is a Hoochie Mama. It's the, I'm not that good at calling yet. I really need to learn. But this is the one that's supposed to be a cow, not a cow elk, a juvenile elk. And then let's switch to this. So that's my bino harness. And then this is my side pouch. And this is essentially survival backcountry survival gear. So in here is what I would need to start a fire, to cook, to procure water, an emergency blanket, my stove, my fuel for my stove, a cup for water, Sawyer squeeze for procuring water, and the bag, and then also a straw. If the bag pops, I could at least drink straight out of a stream or here or there and connect it and just use it like a straw. This goes in there just because it's a convenient spot. This is a sharpener, just to hone up a file while you're cutting up your kill, or just if you need to sharpen your knife out in the backcountry. It's very, very light, which is why I picked it. Next is a Bic, just in case, and then a gigantic ferrocerium rod. And the thing with ferrocerium rods is, don't use your knife. You're just gonna wear out the back of your blade, or I like these. This is a carbon, this is a knife sharpener. It wouldn't be a great knife sharpener, but it's great for striking this, because this is a super hard piece of metal. Carbide, yeah, like a carbide bit from a saw blade. And it really gives you a good strike, and it never wears out because it's super, super hard. It's called a carbide knife sharpener. And then is a little Silky Pocket Boy 170. Best little hand saw you'll find, so give you some perspective. So, and then since this is also my kitchen, a little coffee strainer, which clips onto this. This is some kind of Amazon find. These are Sea to Summit. You get these at Walmart, I think. I think I got this at X Mug. But it's good for some chocolate, since this is my hot chocolate or coffee, since this is my kitchen as well. Got the long obligatory spoon, got a pen for signing the tag, and the straw that comes with the Sawyer. The nice thing about the pen is it fits in here like that, so you could take the caps off and then have a longer straw to blow a fire started. If you've ever had any experience with starting a fire after a couple of days of rain, it's nice to have a little straw to blow on it. But it could also both be used on the Sawyer Mini in case the bag breaks and you need to drink directly. And this is one of the colored emergency blankets. And then here's my little fuel stove. It's MSR Pocket Rocket. This is an older model from previous to 2010. I'm sure they don't make them like this anymore, but this one will get this pot of water boiling in a minute, maybe less. And then what I have clamped on here is an iPhone holder. So if I did get a kill, I could take a picture of myself with my tripod. But the real reason, the cool thing about this is tighten that on there. Now, remember I was talking about Arca Swiss? So let's come over to my spotting scope. So if you've ever tried cooking and heating up water in the backcountry on the side of a mountain where you're at an angle, or on some craggy path and there's not a really good flat rock to sit on, this is really cool. So it goes right into my tripod. Any angle, I can make it perfectly level. And then, I'm not gonna do it now because I have one hand, but essentially this screws onto that. And then this goes up there, and you're not gonna spill this and burn yourself or melt some of your gear. It all just fits together beautifully. Really cool. And so everything that I was just talking about in this camping kitchen setup fits in there. It fits in there perfectly. Looks like a lot of stuff, but comes out to like 2.5 pounds. And then you always have that on your hip, and if you get lost, turned around or something, you at least got a chance. And then here's the other Hoochie Mama. This is, I don't know if these things are goofy or what, but that's that. So then for water in the backcountry, I like to, this is everything I brought with me in the car. This isn't what I bring every time. So usually I just go with the 2 2-liter bottles full. This is empty for procuring water. And then these all fit with the Sawyer squeeze as well. So any of these smart water bottles or platypus bottles screw onto the Sawyer squeeze. Sometimes I'll grab this one and one of these and one of these instead. Just depends on how long I think I'll be out. This I wouldn't really trust except for like a really quick day hike or something. I just have it here because I like it for practicing and for actually backpacking, but I wouldn't use it for hunting. Some paracord, obligatory paracord. And I didn't bring this year, but I did bring it last year. It is a Grand Force Brooks axe. I think this is, I forget which model this is. Probably the best, pretty much the best axe you can buy. It's 1 pound and it's incredibly sharp. Yeah, I don't know the model, but these things are crazy. They're $200 or $300, so don't really waste your money. You don't have to prioritize this for an elk hunt, but really good little camp axe. So now we'll move on to my backpack tent setup, my sleeping arrangements essentially. And I have this here just because I would only bring this on an overnight or even a multiple. You can charge your iPhone like 2 or 3 times. It's got the built-in cables for micro USB-C and Fire. And then it came with a third one in case you have that other old school Android one. Then here is my first aid kit. I don't think that's even properly fitted out right now. I think I took some stuff out since I got back. And so I guess I'm kind of a big fan of Nemo. So this is the Stalker. This is a 0 degree bag, 800 FP down. So this is an 800 fill powder down. So you really want, the higher the fill number, the lower the weight of the sleeping bag will be. And I'll show you, so this is less than 2 pounds, I believe, for a 0 degree bag. This is my old 20 below synthetic bag. I'm not sure if you can tell. This thing is like 6 or 7 pounds. That's really only good for the truck camping portion of things. Just to show you, like, that is too heavy of a bag to bring hunting. You got too much crap to carry, unless you're going for a 70 or 80 pound bag. Next is my air mattress, which is the Nemo Longbow Alpine Insulated. Long and wide, because I'm a 6'2" guy. That insulation pad under your sleeping bag is incredibly important. If you have even a 0 degree bag or a 20 below bag, if it's up against the tent floor, up against the ground, you're going to be cold. So you really need an insulated pad. If you can't, this is an expensive pad. If you can't afford something like this, or you just don't want to have the extra weight, you can go with a closed cell foam pad. And those are fairly cheap. They're 20, 30 bucks. They're big though, they take up a lot of space. This is a luxury. This is a little pillow, also made by Nemo. And then this is a great tent. I really like this tent. This is the Tracker Ultra Light Backpack Country Shelter. Really, really good tent. Lots of space, nice footprint, but for very little weight. I mean, this setup right here weighs less than my hammock camping setup. So, and then this is the footprint for the tent to protect the bottom. Also, the nice thing about the air mattress is this one comes with a blow up device, like a bag that you gently blow in, it fills up, and then you squeeze it in. You can obviously look up reviews for this separately. So that is my actual shelter arrangement and sleeping arrangement, plus the first aid kit and the battery bank. And I really should replace that with a smaller, lighter one. That thing takes up so much weight and space. And then of course, it's a good idea to bring paper maps with you, even if you have the Go Hunt app and Garmin Mini and have a physical compass with you. I know it seems kind of silly in this day and age, but you know, electronics get wet. And these maps aren't cheap, so you know, it is what it is. Next thing I have is, I don't even think this company's in business anymore. This might be the oldest piece of backpacking equipment I still use. Some European company. I bought this at Eastern Mountain Sports, I don't know, 15 years ago. But that being said, those are good for me. Not everybody wants them. I couldn't imagine wanting to go on a backpacking trip without those. And then this is an example of an entire day's worth of food. I label them like day, 1 through 10 or however many days I'm planning to be out there. These mountain houses are pretty good. When I'm backpacking, I don't use these dehydrated foods. I really like to spend the time to make a real meal with grocery store food. But got an extra Cliff Bar, coffee, tuna, hot chocolate, Lipton tea. These are for using the restroom. A couple of hot sauce packets, which I do just eat. Same with the peanut butter. Just squirt that right into my mouth if I need a few calories. Spam makes a nice breakfast. I know it's kind of gross. I also was having, you heat this up and mix in like half of a bag of the egg mix, and it's pretty good for a breakfast in the backcountry. These are like I said, like a cup of coffee, 2 cups of coffee in here. Nice to have at least one of those in your pack per day. Electrolyte supplement, some cookies or Fig Newtons in each day. I think I put too many hot sauces in here. Yeah, see, I've used a couple of those. And then this is Anthony's powder cream or something like that. It's for the creamer for the coffee. Then also a few of these guys from Starbucks. This is what I used prior to getting that little filter. And then here, yeah, the Fig Newtons. So a little bit of sugar here. Mayonnaise packets. This pepper actually is, I don't bring one of these every day. It's just something I put in that Bino harness so I can add pepper to all my meals. Sugar packets for the coffee. And that's pretty much it for the day. Oh, sorry. So that's not it for the day. That stuff was taken out of that bag. So you got another Cliff Bar, sardines and crackers, and another one of those shot blocks, Cliff Bar brand shot blocks, which are essentially sugar and caffeine blocks. A lot of runners like these. It says during, because you're supposed to have them during your run. They have electrolyte versions and I don't know, after run kind of versions, but these are the ones I like, and mainly because it's a quick way to get caffeine, especially if you're addicted to Red Bull like me. Where you're not really gonna have Red Bull in the backcountry. I'll quickly show my bow setup. This is a Matthews, which one is this? 31 inch. Gosh, I'm blanking on the model. Yeah, it's a V3, sorry. Yeah, I was thinking V3X, but that's not what this is. That's the next generation. You gotta practice. You gotta practice. I don't run a different setup for target than I do for the rest of the season. I run the same bow all the time for tack. You can see my tack tag still on there. I run this little tiny stubby stabilizer. I felt larger stabilizers are a psychological barrier in the backcountry to be carrying 10 ounces or whatever extra when it's already a heavy bow. The other reason is I just felt like my oscillations change. Like if you're into archery, you know, like the thing oscillates, right? Like a video game character standing still. And I felt the oscillations changed more than I could compensate for or was necessary. Like I didn't want to relearn essentially a new motor skill, muscle memory skill, right? So that little stubby guy seems to get the oscillations to the right point. And it really is, maybe it's just psychological too. But so then I am running the dialed archery. What would you call this? Obviously Arxos, yeah. Dialed archery Arxos sight. I really like it. I really feel comfortable with it in the back country. That it's like, all of the sliders are so like, there's so much crap to go wrong. There's little dials and knobs everywhere. This has 2 dials, this one and this one. That's it. And then everything else is like, use an Allen key when you're setting it up once and you never touch it again. It's got the little diopter. The other thing that I like about it is it's a 3-pin. So when it's at 20, when the slider's set to 20, we got 20, 40, 60. And it's pretty accurate with my bow. I don't know if they designed it based around a bow that shoots at this, you know, at that pretty high. This is a 75-pound bow, 31-inch draw. No, 31.5-inch draw. I've got gorilla arms. So I'm getting like 200-mile-an-hour speeds, depending on the arrow weight. I don't really want to show you my arrows because I'm embarrassed by them, but I will, just to be honest. So the reason I went with this style of broadhead is because it's extremely easy to sharpen and get very sharp. And I felt my time was running out to get a sharp, to start screwing around with some, you know, iron wills that are $50 each or whatever. This, like I said, this is my 2nd year, and this is after the hunt right now. So these guys are extremely sharp and they're easy to sharpen because if you think about it, all you have to do is take the broadhead off and use, okay, so if you're into woodworking, you'll have heard of the scary sharp sharpening system, which is essentially, rather than buying crazy expensive stones, you get a ton of sandpaper from really high grit to really low grit. And as you work your way down on wet sandpaper, you get, like, you can get them polished so sharp. And then, like, so it's self-aligning on a triangle like this. So you're not like screwing around trying to make it perfect. And they're carbon steel, and they're exactly the same weight as my field points are. And these are Easton Axis 5mm. These are not the match grade ones. I felt, and they're 300 spine. They're not the match grade ones. I find the match grade arrows are not worth the price, at least for my level of skill. Carbon, obviously. I like a pink fletching. Yeah, you can see my glue was on the fritz and I didn't have time to order more before I left. So yeah, it looks horrible. But whatever, they worked. I shot each one just to check. And these are a left helical 3-degree. I used the Boeing jig, the boning jig. So yeah. And then pretty much everything on this bow besides the sight is Matthews branded. The quiver, which actually broke and I had to super glue back together. It didn't break, it started rattling up there. So I super glued that. This is an ultra rest integrated using the dovetail. Yeah, so pretty much just a standard Matthews bow. And then this is really nice. It's just the Vortex strap that came with my old binos, like the cheap ass, you know, ones I used for throwing around the range or bringing to the zoo with my kids. But I stuck that on there and it really makes it easier to carry the bow, you know, for hours through the woods. Last thing I will tell you that I brought on some of the day hikes was just this. It's like essentially a sitting pad. It's really, really nice. Made by Adam Savage from Mythbusters. But this side is this side is sailcloth. That's waterproof. And it's just nice to have something soft and warm if you want to take a day nap, or have like a dry spot to sit after the rain. Folds up. It's kind of heavy, but for a day hike where you're really just going to be out there till after dark and then hike back in the dark, I like the security of an overnight solution if I get stuck out there. Even on a day hike where I have those two batwing bags and the frame, this straps perfectly to the bottom there. And that is pretty much it for my pack dump. That is everything I brought, and hopefully the reasoning why. Now keep in mind, not all of this stuff comes with me every time, especially only ever one of these bag setups is coming. I didn't talk about the bugle because I am not very good at bugling. That is a skill I have yet to master. Hopefully I'll get some experience this year. Well, not hopefully, I will decide to purposely get some experience with bugling this year and practice. That's the example of 1 day's worth of food, if you include that. And that is like more than enough calories. It might even be like too much. The last thing I wanted to talk about is water procurement at camp. This is like a little bonus thing, but this is a system I came up with. So I have this for work anyway. This is a big, like a drill battery. It's more like a circular saw battery. And then this is a little inverter. So when I need to fill up my truck water cans, which are 5 or 6 gallons each, I take this $15 aquarium pump. This is a submersible aquarium pump, and it fits this 1/4 inch or 3/8 inch hose, right? So that stabs in there. You plug this in, you throw this in the pond or wherever you're getting your water from, and then you have a full-size Sawyer, like that. Sorry, there's an adapter. Here it is. Here's the adapter. Yeah, so then in one side comes dirty water, pumps it through this filter and then out the other hose into your jug. And the thing just runs. This will run that pump for probably 2 hours. And that will fill up your 5 or 6 gallons in about an hour. And it's a hell of a lot better than sitting there pumping by hand or trying to boil and then every time you come back to your truck, depending on what type of hunt you're doing, you just fill up your water bottles. You're not out there sitting on the shore squeezing that little bag to try to fill up the thing. I know that some people really like the UV solution. I just felt that a filter was better for me, and also I don't like Nalgene bottles like at all. And those little UV pens require a Nalgene bottle. So I just like to fill up my water at the truck, or if I am overnight camping, I can obviously use this bag or the big platypus bag, or either of the two. I only ever bring 2 of those smart water bottles, but those are all compatible with the Sawyer Squeeze, which is really nice. And I think that's the end of my video. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I'm not really a YouTuber, so if you want to subscribe, that'd be fine. I don't really care either way. Don't expect this kind of content all the time. And yeah, that's my pack dump 2023 post elk hunt. Any questions, leave them below.